Hey guys, it's Josh here, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how I went from high functioning anxiety to high performance living. And if you don't already know, I love making my videos down at the beach here. So yeah, hope you enjoy the view. Now, if you're watching this, I'm going to make a well-informed assumption that you are someone who is high functioning, right? You are someone who is pretty good at managing your stress and anxiety, but sometimes it can get the better of you, right? Sometimes it can come out in you losing your presence, becoming impatient, snapping, getting frustrated, and maybe sometimes it gets really heightened into a point where you can't breathe properly, or you start to feel run down, tired, fatigued, and you really start to wake up with low energy levels, like you're kind of pushing through the day. And it can start to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day when that happens, for a while. And there's a part of you that wants to be living a high performance life. So you want to be living a life where you're actually, waking up full of energy, feeling confident, feeling clear, feeling like you're on purpose and your life has meaning, and you feel fulfilled with the work that you're doing. Your relationships are places where you can actually feel connected, as opposed to constantly under pressure. And if that's you want to go from high functioning to high performing, then in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, because I've gone through that journey myself. And like any journey in life, you really need to know three things. You need to know where you're starting, you need to know where you're going, and you need to know how you're going to get there. And today I'm going to be your guide to get you from A to B, to get you from high functioning anxiety to high performance living. I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to overcome the anxiety and learn how to manage it properly so that it wasn't managing me all of the time. And I'm also going to walk you through a full guide that you can actually take and copy to start to get this stuff under control as soon as possible. So firstly, a bit more about me, right? I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, right? My dad's a business owner, my brother's a business owner, my cousin's a business owner, my uncles, my aunties are business owners. I grew up with my brother. We would go and hang out at my dad's shop, on the weekends, because he'd be working, and we would just play like in the shop all day. And I've been exposed from entrepreneurship to a young age. But the thing is, although a lot of my family have been successful in business, there's also a dark side to it. A lot of them have got issues with addictions. A lot of them have got, broken down marriages, and maybe they're not as healthy as they could be. And, anxiety's there, depression's there. And so I always knew that I wanted to have a business, but I always knew that I didn't want to do it in a way that would leave me sacrificing my health and my well-being and my relationships for success. Now, if you're like most business owners, you want to have success, but you want it with less stress, and you want to have it without having to sacrifice, growth. So I totally get it, right? But what I'm saying is that there's a place for hustle and grinding, and there's also a place for finding alignment in your life. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I've had this journey where I've had to overcome a lot of my own anxieties, a lot of my own kind of depressive periods. I was, I wouldn't say that I was addicted, but I had troubles with drinking when I was a bit younger, and taking drugs and stuff like that. And that was real challenge for me, which I ended up overcoming. And, then I kind of got myself on the straight and narrow, built a business, became somewhat successful in the business, right? And, I've earned over $500,000 in the business over the last few years. And I also, at the same time, got married, started a family. We have 2 kids. We live at the beach. Like, I literally live 100 meters away from this place. I love just walking down here to film these videos sometimes. And, I've created an awesome life for myself. And a few years ago, I went through this period where I had gotten control of a lot of my issues, but I noticed that I was becoming this high-functioning anxious person. I was high-functioning, business was going well, I had the family, everything, but I started to just wake up tired, and I started to just be stressed, and I was inside my office 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day. That's why I come out now, because I was pale white, and and then I realized, I'm like, man, there's something going on here. I started to burn out. And I remember vividly one morning I woke up, which was a a Monday morning, and I looked at my calendar, which was packed out with sales calls and coaching calls, and I was just scared. I was like, fuck this. I do not want to do this. And yeah, because I was already burnt out. It was a Monday morning. I was already tired. I was already done. And then I had a whole week of just this packed out calendar, and I didn't want to do it. And so that was like the thing that sparked me to make some changes. So over the next, over the last couple of years, I've made some changes. I've reduced my one-on-one coaching clients. Now they're limited to a certain amount of people. Where before I was just trying to coach anyone and everyone that I could. Now I've got a limited number of spots in my coaching. And then I've worked on building systems in the business where I can leverage my time. So now I have a membership with courses and access so that people can still go and access it, without needing to be there with my time all the time. So there's leverage. And that's important as a business owner. You see a lot of these business owners who are just like working in the business instead of working on the business. But the guys who do it really well, they end up putting in place systems so they can have their time much more leveraged. And that's a great long-term sustainable play. But anyway, we're not here to talk about business. We're here to talk about how do you actually work on yourself and how do you actually get yourself in check so that you're not so anxious all the time, and so that you can actually live as a high performer, right? And I'll walk you through it now. There's a bit of a guide and a bit of a step-by-step plan that I'm going to walk you through, right? So there's 5 steps. The life audit, you got to firstly audit your life. Then you got to set some goals. You got to get clear on what kind of life you actually want to create. Then you got to develop new habits around those goals. After you've got the new habits, then you need discipline and accountability, right? Really simple, no bullshit, right? So the first thing is you've got to audit your life. If your life's not working and, there's things that aren't giving you the results that you want in your life, you've got to address those issues and you've got to look at them and you've got to go, okay, cool, this is not working. So I need to remove this, I need to do something else. So you've got to firstly identify your challenges, your problems, and the things that aren't working. And then you've got to really make space, like clear them out. And decide to stop doing those things and decide to start doing things that are going to work. There's a concept I like which is called via negativa. And via negativa means by negation or by way of negative, right? So you're like taking away the things that aren't working to make place for the things that are. Elon Musk does this in his in his companies. He often talks about just simplifying everything. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And you can do that for your life as well. Take away the things that aren't working. There's another saying which is like, don't try to heal a man who's not willing to give up the things that make him sick. So you have to give up the things that are making you sick. That might be drinking, it might be drugs, it might be working too much, it might be, it could be anything, right? Eating shit food, overextending yourself, like it could be anything like that. You got to get rid of that. And that's going to make some space for you to set some new goals and get clear on how you actually want to live your life, right? That's step 2, set the goals. You've got to have a clarity around what kind of life that you actually want to live. And also you have to understand that you think in pictures. So when you think about your goals, you're going to see a vision in your mind. If you really take the time to actually think about what kind of life you want to create, there'll be a vision that will start to form on your mind. And then what you got to do, you got to ask yourself, what's in my vision? And if you take the thoughts that you have in your mind when you think about what's in your vision and you put them down into paper and you start to organize them, you're going to get a very clear set of goals that you can actually start to take action on. Then you move on to step 3, which is actually implementing new habits to get you towards those goals. This is what I help my clients with, right? Because let me just explain a very important idea for you. This is one idea that you need to understand. That is that your beliefs create your thoughts. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings create your actions. Your actions create your habits, and your habits create your results in life. So if you're not experiencing the results that you want in your life, you need to work backwards. Okay, you need to work on your habits, but then you need to work on the actions that you're taking. Then you need to work on the feelings that you're having, which are making you take those actions. And then you need to work on your thoughts and your beliefs that are making the feelings happen in the first place, right? So it all starts in your mind. It all starts with the belief about what's possible. Sometimes people do not even believe that they can create a new life for themselves. They don't even believe that they can have goals and then achieve those goals. If you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand, right? So you have to think in your head what you really want, get a clear image of what you really want, and then once you've got that, you can start to organize some new habits that are going to help you get that. And what I help people with is I help them with new belief systems, developing new belief systems in your mind, new ways of thinking, and then also regulating the nervous system so you're not getting so emotionally triggered all the time, right? If you're frustrated or you're impatient or you're anxious, it's because you got emotional issues going on and mental issues. So I can help with those emotional issues and those mental issues so that you can start to feel calm, clear, and confident, and ultimately find more peace, presence, and purpose in your life, right? That's what I can help with. And you want to find a routine and some habits that help you get towards the goals that you're going to get to. So that's what I do. I give people accountability to actually, develop a routine that they can stay disciplined with. And that brings us to step 4, discipline. Some people have a shit relationship with this word discipline, but discipline is really the magic thread that ties everything together. If you don't have discipline and if you don't have consistency, you're not going to achieve anything worthwhile, right? I'm training for a triathlon right now. I need to be disciplined with my training. I need to swim, I need to ride, and I need to run, right? If I don't do those things, I'm going to gas out in the triathlon and it's going to be a shit show, right? If you want to have a family, you need to be present. You need to be a good husband or a good wife. You need to be there for them. You need to communicate with them. You need to show up as a person in their life. If you want to have a business, right, there's certain things that you need to do. You guys know, okay? Everything in life that, requires you to achieve certain goals requires discipline. So you've got to be disciplined. And then you've got to have accountability, right? So if you don't keep yourself accountable, then no one's keeping you accountable. And if no one keeps you accountable and you're not keeping yourself accountable, then you're not going to be kept accountable and you're just going to be like a headless chook running around. Accountability helps you. If you're not where you want to be already, why not? It's because you're not doing the things that you need to do. Having a mirror or a mentor to call you out on your bullshit and say, have you done the things that you need to be doing, right? And having that accountability is incredibly helpful. So anyway, that's the video. That's how to go from high functioning anxiety to high performance living. You have to delete some shit that's not working, right? That's the life audit. You got to set some new goals. You got to develop habits that are in alignment with those new goals. You have to be disciplined with those habits. And then finally, you need accountability. And so, hope this was helpful. Enjoy the view. I'm out. Bye.